In today's video, I want to talk about how you can best answer the interview question, tell me about a time where you had to handle pressure. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first thing you need to understand is why they're asking this question in the first place. And the reason why is because this role, or most roles in general, have stress, right? So duh. Well, in this role in particular, if they're asking this question in the interview, it's very likely that the work is fast-paced, quick turnaround times, sudden changes, and so on. So they really want to make sure you have that base covered and that you're cool as a cucumber when that time comes. And so therefore, it's important in this case to give the answer in a way that reassures them that you have these qualities. Now, you want to highlight several things. The first thing you want to highlight is that you are able to be calm and collected and that you can handle pressure. The second thing is you also want to demonstrate you have different ways to manage stress and to handle the pressure. The third thing you want to ensure is that they know your quality of work does not suffer as a result of this sudden increase in stress. So therefore, it's very important to find the right examples for this. Now, the second point I want to make is, what is a good example? Well, ideally, a good example to answer this question is finding something that is as close as possible to this role. Now, if you have worked in a similar function or industry in the past, you definitely want to find that example and use that. For example, if you worked as a project manager in IT and now you're applying for a project manager role in consumer packaged goods, you want to use that example, right? The project manager example. Now, if you don't have that, then try to find something that is within the same industry. So for example, if you worked in big tech before, try to find another big tech example just to show that you understand at least how the industry is. But ideally, you want to have industry and function both together. The second thing is you want to find examples that are relevant to what they're asking for. So if this role has quick turnaround times, then try to find something that has a quick turnaround time. If it's under sudden changing environments, well, try to find those elements in your example as well. When you're applying for this role, take a look at some of the JD and some of the conversations from informational interviews to get an understanding of what it entails, what constitutes stressful situations, so that you can find a relevant example to back that up. And also, you want to find an example that shows some growth and resilience in it. So don't just find one where it was suddenly stressful. You also want to find something that highlights your ability to grow and learn from these kinds of experiences. Now, the third step in this whole process is to take this example and frame it using the STAR framework: situation, task, action, result. I'm not going to talk too much about this framework. Check it out in the cards above if you're not familiar with it. Now, the fourth thing is, in this STAR example, what are some of the key skills you want to highlight? You want to highlight how you are calm under pressure. You also want to highlight some problem-solving skills that you have. So given that this situation had a quick turnaround time, what did you do to solve for this problem? The third thing you want to highlight is, ideally, if it involves a team, then talk about teamwork and leadership. What did you do to rally your troops, rally your team to solve this problem, or at least take leadership and initiative to help solve this problem? Now, if it involves some stakeholder conversation and stakeholder management, that's great as well. And finally, the fourth thing is you want to show the positive outcome of it so that you can show everything that you've done has led to a good result. If it's a stressful situation and it leads to a bad result, that's probably not a good example to use. The fifth and final thing I want to cover in this video is, what are some of the mistakes that people make while answering this question? The first common mistake is focusing too much on the stress and focusing too much on the negatives of that situation. Yes, you really want to highlight the negatives to show how it's authentically a problem and how it was a difficult situation, but you don't want to oversell that, because if you oversell it, it comes across as, well, you're only talking about the negatives. Like, show us the light at the end of the tunnel. That is not a train. So it's really important to just go beyond the stress. The second mistake that people tend to make is not diving into specifics. They don't go into how the problem is solved and what they did to solve it. They just talk about a stressful situation and they were able to pull out of it. Well, how did you pull out of it? You need to give the right amount of detail so that the interviewers can paint a picture of how you got out of that situation. And finally, the third thing is, going back to my previous point on just like the negatives, if it really did end up in a negative kind of situation, at least show the positives of that. Highlight the silver linings that took place and what you took away from that situation and what you learned about it. So if you really have no example, that'll be one way to work around it. And that's it. That's how you answer this question. Don't forget to practice so that you can really communicate it authentically. If you like this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, follow wherever you are. And if you have any thoughts or comments, please let me know in the comments below. Take care, everyone.